Welcome to the
Pinch to Zoom
podcast. Thank you, Craig Federighi, for that introduction. I'm Stetson.
I'm Gabe.
And this is our WWDC special event bonus episode of the podcast where we are recapping Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference. Gabe, this event was packed. First of all, what is WWDC in a few sentences, and what were the key, topic highlights that we're going to talk about in this episode?
So WWDC is Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference, and this one was even more worldwide than usual because usually it takes place actually in a physical location, sometimes their headquarters or wherever, and because, of COVID-19, they couldn't do that. So this one was virtual, online, and people all over the world are participating in it. Actually, right now they're participating, but we're really talking about the event that always kicks off WWDC, the keynote event, which this one was really incredible. They took us through iOS 14, iPadOS updates, macOS updates, Apple TV updates, CarPlay. There was so many updates. I'm running out. I have to scroll down. Apple Pencil, AirPods, HomeKit. I think that was it, pretty much. Oh, and of course, the big only thing that was hardware, Apple Silicon. They're finally ditching Intel for their chips and their Macs, and they're making their own stuff, which was pretty much known before. But yeah, this was chock-a-block full with updates, stuff that we won't see till the end of the the fall, but they are huge. So let's kind of go through the order that they went in, right?
Yeah, so to your point, Gabe, this is now a completely online and digital event. Opening up, Apple, I think, typically you have to pay to attend the developer conference. And because it's online, Apple is opening this up for free for anyone who's interested. And this is kind of pulling together a huge community of developers. So that is really awesome. But yeah, let's dive into it. First up was iOS 14.
Well, first up was they actually kicked it off right off the bat. He had Tim Cook coming out and he sat down and he took a moment to talk about, the Black Lives Matter movement, how the black and brown communities are being treated in the U.S. and also COVID-19. And how, Apple is really working to give money towards their developers and help fund developers of black and brown communities for apps. And I really thought it was a good moment to do it. And it felt sincere, actually. It didn't feel like just some corporate let's, get some good PR or something.
I think it holds true. I mean, Tim Cook has consistently held this sort of viewpoint. Of course, he is kind of part of minority group himself, being gay. And I think this really stands for what Apple believes in. I thought that was well articulated by Tim Cook at the beginning. And I actually loved how they reversed the camera, where you had Tim on stage, and instead of the huge screen in the background, you had the whole empty audience with the lights. It was a really, really beautiful scene. And as you mentioned, brought up a really important...
And I don't think this was live, right? It was pre-recorded.
Everything was pre-recorded. Yeah. I was wondering that too, but I mean, the transitions...
It was too fancy to be live, yeah.
It was spectacular. I mean, this is probably the best keynote I've ever seen, to be honest.
It was, for not being live and for not having that, live feeling and excitement, it was somehow managed to be almost more awesome and more exciting.
I agree. So the first awesome thing was iOS 14. I mean, there's so much new here. Gabe, should we just cover some of the highlight features that we noticed about these software improvements?
Yeah, I think really for people to get all the updates, they're going to have to go online, look at the photos and everything. So let's just go over what we saw as the biggest update. Personally, I'll start because I thought this was huge. Well, everything that you saw this year, it seemed like had already been done in Android a little bit, for one.
Yeah, very Android inspired, or even from the jailbreak community. Like, we've been doing this for a little while now.
Wow,
too.
we've been. You're fully in now.
I've been doing it, but yeah, what was the big thing for you?
For me, the big thing was, of course, the widgets on the home screen and the picture-in-picture video.
Oh my gosh!
Basically, essentially multitasking in a way.
I don't think it's it's just widgets. Like, that's what it is. No, Android's had widgets.
Well, it's multitasking in the sense that you can get information while kind of doing other things. While scrolling across the screen, you can get widgets. Yeah. I mean, get information while watching a video. You can be using another app or something. So it's kind of the intro level of multitasking. Not quite like the dual screen, which Android has had it sometimes or in different phones. But it's very refined, it looks like. And yeah, in typical Apple fashion, they roll it out 5 years later, but somehow do it a little better.
It's beautiful. So what these app widgets are, are basically the widgets you see in, I believe Apple calls it the Today view. It's when you unlock your phone and you swipe over to the left. And you basically get redesigned widgets that are a little bit more colorful, a little bit bolder, and you can essentially just tap and drag these out onto your regular home screen. The ones Apple showcases are typically weather, stocks, news, calendar, things like that. And you can resize these widgets to, it appears I'm seeing a 2x2 app size, so a 2x2 grid, or a 2x4 where it's a full width across your phone. And these look beautiful. Gabe, what widgets are you most looking forward to putting on your home screen?
Really, the weather's the big one.
Yeah, everyone loves weather.
Yeah, it's really the ones that are, you never have to go into the app and do much anyways. It's just checking. So that's why Apple does showcase the stocks and the calendar, because when you go into calendar, usually it's just like, all right, what's my thing for today? You know?
Yeah. I'm super excited for calendar. I love just what's next, what's my big focus. I might even try and use notes, like try and put like a big focus for the day.
Oh, yeah.
And just like being able to see that and remind myself mentally of what am I focusing on for today?
Well, the interesting thing was called the Smart Widget, I think? Basically the one that you can kind of put at the top of your home screen, and that will intelligently select what you need to see. So in the morning, for example, it could give you the weather, or it could give you the news. And then at the end of the day, it might give you a rundown of your fitness from your Apple Watch. So it really gives you the info that it thinks you need. And knowing Apple, it's probably actually pretty accurate.
It reminds me a lot of the Siri watch face currently available for watchOS users, where the Siri watch face did the same thing. You get cycled through recommended apps or utilities as you needed them. Yeah, that was huge.
I think they said that they learned from a lot of their designing for the Apple Watch, because that's a small screen. They then took that they had learned and then brought it to the iPhone.
Yeah, that was great. What do you think about the app library?
So this is ripped straight out of Android, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
No shame here. But they did it really uniquely in that you kind of get these little, it's almost like mini folders, and they're intelligently created and curated in that, you have your suggestions. Like, that's honestly become more and more useful for me. But then you also have recent, you have then by, I think, category.
So they highlight recently added social, entertainment, Apple Arcade, creativity, games, things like that. And I love just the search functionality. Everything is alphabetized, really making it easy to sort of find and organize your apps without having to spend the time to do it. So you just pick your favorite ones to throw on your home screen, and then you have your new app library for organizing everything. I think for me, one of the cooler features is the incoming calls. Like, you no longer have a full interrupted, you're getting a call screen. You get a nice little...
This is on iPadOS and iPhones, or the iOS 14. Yeah, this does look pretty cool. And actually, macOS already just in the top little corner. So it basically kind of took that, brought it to your phones. I'm not sure if I love it on the phone, because I kind of do want to see the full screen.
It's funny you mentioned that. I frequently will screenshot a full screen call to create a thumbnail for my video, just because I do cell phone plan reviews and I need like something visual. And so now I'm just gonna, I don't know, I'll figure it out. I imagine if your phone is locked, you'll still get that full screen call, like slide to answer. But if you're unlocked...
I wonder if they'll leave it as an option though too, right?
Well, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Do you have any other highlights from iOS 14? I mean, I feel like we've covered the biggest design changes.
I think the two other big things, other than those Siri improvements that are going to be overall across the whole iPad
platform,
tvOS,
iPad,
macOS, and everything, kind of where it's a more compact, less obtrusive form of Siri, and obviously improved intelligence. But the two big things I also think, as a CarPlay user, I noticed they had some huge updates coming.
Yeah.
So the big one is wallpaper, of course, because...
Really? You think that's big?
It's not really. I'm kind of kidding. But it is actually, because up till now, you haven't been able to change the wallpaper at all. So...
It's like going from iOS 1 to iOS 2, or whenever they introduce the wallpapers.
Afterwards, you won't care down the road when they add a new wallpaper. But just right now, it's incredibly huge. No, the big thing is, of course... the fact that they have EV charging, parking, and more apps coming, so new categories of apps, and the digital key, which unfortunately I won't be able to take advantage of in my car, and most people won't, but coming, I think they said 2021, there will be cars that actually take advantage of having a digital key on your phone that uses NFC, where you can like walk up to your car, boop, get right in, set it down, start the car, or send your key to one of your friends so they could use your car. Or
I thought
kid or something.
that was so cool. Sharing car keys without
Right?
having to make copies of the key. No fear of losing the $100 key fob. And I think
it's so smart.
the other big thing with that is even if your phone dies, the key unlock function will still work for up to 5 hours.
That is incredible. I didn't hear them say
Yeah,
that. But
that was something I saw tweeted, and it's because I think the iPhone shuts down with still a little bit of battery left. This is like, you can still power it on to see the Apple logo. It's like, you need to charge me. So it still has some battery, and the NFC reader is just so low power, they can continue to run that in the background. And I think...
well, I was just going to say the other big thing. Sorry.
Yeah, no, go for it. We'll see if they're the same.
App clips.
Oh, I didn't have this. Gabe, tell me more about app clips. What is this?
So app clips is... I'll put you in a situation, right? Like kind of a...
All right, hit me.
Have you been in this before type thing. So you're out, you park in a parking lot, or you park in a meter, and you go to pay. Oh, no, it's an app meter only.
Oh, shoot. And then I got to go download it.
Do I have that? And you got to go download it. And
I got to find it in the app store.
You got to create an account, and then you got to add your credit card.
Oh,
and then,
God.
all right, now it's like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And it's just a pain. Or for a restaurant, for example, you want to order something, or there's so many different reasons and times that I've had this happen.
Yeah, there's some restaurants I wish I could just like try the app to order, but it's too much of a hassle, so I just go up and I'll do it next time.
Famously, I have, I think, a whole folder of about 20 apps for restaurants. I actually have created accounts on, gone through the pain. Granted, I have a password manager, so it's not that hard, but still, it takes some time. And now with app clips, for example, say you wanted to rent a bike or you wanted to rent a scooter using like Lime scooters or something.
I remember when I was abroad, I had to get like Voy, Evolve. Like I got 5 different scooter apps to try out all the different scooters.
Or even like in some cities where they have metros or public transit that uses an app, you could quickly tap something, a QR code or an NFC thing that is right there. It will quickly download less than 10 megabytes, this little app clip that is just basically a portion of the app in some way, and it will sign you in with Apple and use Apple Pay, so you don't have to do any sign up or put in payment info, and it will quickly get you to the part of the app that you need to use and let you just go on with your day and not have to spend a ton of time. So I think that as far as usability and something that doesn't really seem like a huge feature, but I guarantee 2-3 years from now is going to be, people will be like, how could you have gone back to the ways of old? Like, yeah, this is game changing.
I completely agree. The last feature I want to bring up for iOS is secretly on one of the slides Apple dropped in, you can now set default apps. Let that sink. Default
I saw
apps.
This email and web browser.
That's it. Well, the funny thing is every web browser on mobile is Safari with a different skin on it, as we discussed in our browser review. But still, I mean, this is just a huge convenience. Like, you get all your bookmarks, you get to use everything in one place. It is so, so nice. And that, for me, is iOS.
There's a couple more updates of stuff like, Maps, but that's really all of Maps. But, yeah, check it out online on their website. Next is iPadOS. I'm going to let you take the reins on this because you own an iPad Pro, and I feel like you're more in with, like, what's going on there.
I wish this update had come out like 4 years ago when I was in college. This looks like the perfect update for college students. The big news here, in my opinion, is the Apple Pencil support. So Apple has gotten so much smarter with recognizing handwritten text. You can now select your handwriting, move it around, select individual words or sentences. You can now create additional space for more handwriting content. So it's like you have a piece of paper and you fill it up, and you're like, oh, shoot, I need to add something at the top of this. Well, now you can just move it down. And yeah, you can also do some really cool things where you can scratch to erase words, you can circle to select words, and you can automatically create common shapes. So squares, stars, triangles, hexagons, great for geometry, straight lines, double arrows. I mean,
I wonder how far they're going to take it. Like, there's that Google tool that you can kind of draw anything in and it'll automatically recognize it.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if they'll ever get to that level of being able to draw stuff.
We're just going to have to try it out and see. And the other cool thing is, you're using your Apple Pencil. It's kind of a hassle. All right, let me switch to my keyboard or do something like that. And excuse me, I got a notification go off. But the other
From
big
Apple,
thing,
of course.
yeah, from Apple,
Yeah.
is you can handwrite in any text field, and the iPad will automatically convert it to typed text. Isn't that cool? So you can
I saw, yeah, they had like Safari, like you could just write in the Safari search bar or something.
exactly. And this is, while probably much slower than typing, it's such a cool way to interact with your iPad, and it brings a whole new experience. The other big things is you get a better search experience. Doesn't take up, well, it kind of takes up the whole screen, but you still can see where you are. It doesn't have that blurred background. And you also get the updated widget design. I think that's pretty much all I had for the iPad OS. I mean,
Yeah, I thought it really kind of looked a lot like macOS, even more. Basically, that was my summary. Was looks even more like macOS.
the big thing is they have more distinct sidebars, and kind of in macOS you get a menu bar at the top, and Apple kind of it took inspiration from that with more condensed drop-down menus in apps like the Files app, for example.
Yep. So yeah, let's move on now to, this was the next thing they talked about, which I thought was pretty exciting. I don't have the AirPods Pro, but I have the AirPods. So they talked about AirPods, not
Yeah.
actual new AirPods, but actual software, because you may forget about it, but there is a lot of software in those AirPods that are helping them do all the things they do. And notably, they're going to get a lot smarter in the sense that, say you're using your iPhone and listening to some music, and then you're like, oh, I want to watch this video on my iPad or on my Mac. It will automatically switch to that device, and then so you can get the audio right from that, which is, I've personally had that issue a ton where I'm like, okay, now I got to turn off the Bluetooth on my phone, go turn on the Bluetooth and select it on my Mac. Yeah, this is just, again, one of those ease of use things which will make the whole process and experience of using AirPods 20,000 times easier.
It's the dream. All I
It's
need
also
now,
it's a first world problem of having too
Yeah.
many devices that you're switching in between with AirPods. Oh gosh, my
I
struggles.
know. But what I need now is for Apple to release over-the-ear headphones. Could you
Well,
imagine?
I think this is kind of setting the stage for that. I think, right?
Oh, I'm so excited. You're absolutely correct. I mean, getting that immersive sound experience with over-the-ear headphones, the seamless switching. What else is coming with audio that we should
Well,
be
that's what I was
excited
gonna
about?
say. Setting the stage.
Ooh.
Ooh, right.
Ooh.
With AirPods Pro, they are now introducing spatial audio.
What?
Yeah. So what this is essentially is, say you're listening to a movie or TV show, and it has 7.1 or Dolby surround sound, or you're playing a game that has really immersive sound, that can actually be placed in space so that if you turn right or left, the sound will actually stay in its place using the gyroscopes and stuff in the AirPods to sense where your head's turning. And for example, though, if you maybe you turn your phone, though, it will actually stay locked on your phone. Right? I think
Yeah.
that's what the basic understanding was.
It's
so if
basically-
if you're in a plane or something, it's not gonna, and the plane turns, it's not gonna be going all over the place.
Exactly. What has me excited about this is basically the same tech that Sony is using for their 3D audio for the PS5, which makes me believe this could be a bigger deal than we think.
3D audio is here to stay.
Yeah,
That's the next big breakthrough.
I think it is going to be the next big breakthrough. I'm really excited.
Hopefully they do kind of an open protocol or open, so it's not proprietary of, oh, we use this one 3D audio software for our stuff, and, it just makes it hard to switch in between.
Right. Want it easy for developers so they can take advantage of and we get a better audio experience. I think that was audio, right?
Yeah, that was pretty much it for audio. I think then they went on to watchOS, which again, I still don't have an Apple Watch, but after today,
Yeah, what?
After
will
today,
you
at
be
least-
getting one?
my two big complaints up till now, I've said it a couple times, has been the battery life, which they didn't really address. Obviously, they can't because that's more hardware. But the other thing was sleep tracking wasn't included natively, and as
Now
when
it's here.
watchOS 7 comes out, it will be here. I personally was pretty impressed with it. They didn't really do much details on the actual tracking itself, but it seemed it was going to be very much like what Fitbit does. However, it was focused more on integrating with your phone, so you can kind of set a bedtime, and then your phone will go to do not disturb, run you through a bedtime cycle, and then start the tracking type thing.
Yeah, so it has a dedicated wind down, which is what you were talking about, where you kind of can launch specific apps, meditation app, a sound, ambient sound app, for example. And then you also get your sleep tracking, and this is using data from the accelerometer and from your heart rate to gather sleep data when you fall asleep, when you're in deep sleep, and it pulls this into Apple Health so you can better understand your sleep patterns, develop healthier habits, and wake up feeling more refreshed and energized in the morning. I have been focusing on this myself, actually, using a different sleep app, and I'm starting to notice as I've been getting gradually more consistent, I'm starting to sleep better. So my going to bed time has been a little bit more consistent. My waking up time has been a little bit more consistent. And I think this is something that is thrown away when you're in college. Like, you just do college. And I think it deserves a little bit more attention. So I'm really happy to see this update coming to Apple Watch.
Yeah, and this is one of the two things. So if we get a better battery life with, I guess, what would be Apple Watch 6 in the fall, I might be getting an Apple Watch.
I think battery life is plenty good as is. My Series 3 easily lasts a day.
Yeah, but now that you're going to be charging it, or I guess you're already not charging it at night, you're wearing it. So
yeah,
we'll have to see.
My sleep takes up about 13% battery from when I go to bed to when I wake up. Yeah, and I just throw it on the charger for a few minutes.
Well, what else are we going to be getting with watchOS?
Well, along
7?
with sleep tracking, we're getting even better activity tracking. So Apple introduced some new featured workouts, including functional strength training, core training, cool downs, and dance. This is kind of exciting. I think people are going to really enjoy the dance workout. And sometimes when you start a workout, you'll get a little notification like, are you working out? And that'll be fun. And the fitness app got some updates, better design. It incorporates these new workouts. And of course, you can share a healthy rivalry with your friends by competing in activity competitions.
That is something I'm missing with Fitbit. I don't have many friends that have a Fitbit. So.
Ooh, that is a little disappointing. And I think, Gabe, you actually, I saw you tweeted this. Of course, with COVID going on, we want to be more mindful about doing a particular activity. And it looks like this is now tracked in Apple Watch. What is it?
This is hand washing. And I do want our podcasters to tweet at me if they remember me saying this. But I'm pretty sure on a previous episode, I mentioned that I thought that smartwatches should be tracking when people wash their hands. And Apple's not quite doing this. It's not saying like, oh, reminding you to wash your hands, like you haven't washed in so long or something. But what it is doing is when you go to wash your hands, it is sensing that you're moving your hands in that motion and the sound of water, and it will then start a 20-second timer essentially, so that you will be able to, keep, instead of singing happy birthday, you can actually just get a little buzz on your wrist when you're done washing it. Now, one thing, I saw a great tweet by someone saying that Apple, they said the new feature from Apple that tracks hand washing supposedly detects a lot of rapid hand motion and squishing sound. And it's like, and they said you might want to turn that off before you do a certain activity, or just try to get it in within the 20 seconds. Yeah, really so funny. It was a pretty good tweet.
Thank you for
forget
sharing
who it was to credit that to them. But yeah, I think that was, you didn't get a watch face store is one thing I heard people were looking towards. Right.
Well, what's interesting is, I guess one last point for the hand washing is you can get a reminder to wash your hands when you return home. That's the only time you will be able to get that reminder. And regarding watch faces, we actually didn't see any new watch faces, but we did get some watch face updates.
Yeah, you can customize them, right? Isn't that the thing?
Well, what happens is previously you could have an app and you would have a complication from that app on your watch face. But
but explain complication. That's
a complication,
not like something that goes wrong.
It's like a little widget. So Let's say you have a weather app. You would have on your watch, it's called a complication, and it's just a little section of the watch face that would display the weather information from that weather app. And previously, that app was limited to one sort of area. You can only have it in one spot. Now you can have it in multiple spots, and you can customize the information that app presents. Apple used an example of a baby tracking app, so you could track when your baby was up, when it's nap time, and other aspects around that. And imagine if you had maybe a weather app or something, you could track sunrise, sunset, high and low of the day, and basically get different data points of information from the same app all displayed on one watch face. The other thing we got was the ability to share watch faces. So you can design and customize your own watch face. You can share it with your friends and family. You can download watch face setups from online. And if you don't have an app that is used in the watch face, Apple will automatically prompt you to install it if you wish. And I thought that was a cool, clever way to promote apps in their app store and boost the app ecosystem.
Yeah, I liked it. Overall, there wasn't really, I didn't think big features other than really the sleep tracking and the fitness, but
I guess Siri did get some minor updates.
Yeah.
You can do translations on device, and you get on-device dictation, so you don't actually have to be connected to anything.
Slightly bigger. I don't know. Again, it was two main things I thought personally, and then there was a bunch of other stuff so that they could fill out that page of the new updates.
Yeah, they had to figure out a
graphics.
few things. Either way, I think this is a really great update.
It's
for
a strong.
watchOS.
I don't think it's quite as strong as OS 6 though. I think that was a lot more features added, personally, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right with
you
that.
got the audio hearing thing and all that different things.
I still think this update though is kind of making me want a new watch.
So you can get all the new updates, right?
Yeah, all the new updates, and so I can get all the new watch faces.
Yeah,
because I'm in an older gen that doesn't have the
maybe
new
we'll
ones yet.
both be on that new watch train come fall.
Maybe we will. Let's move on though.
Moving on, the next thing, one big thing that Apple continually stresses, privacy, right?
It's true. They had a huge section dedicated on privacy.
Yes, and it was an incredibly epic intro with, what is it, say his name, Carl Figuerini?
Craig Federighi?
Craig Figuerini? Yeah, I can't say his name. You'll have to say it whenever I need you to. So he came into the room and completely shadowed, backlit, and then it walks up epically, and then it's privacy. It's just very epic. Anyways, sidetrack there. But yeah, they talked about privacy. One of the big things they're doing is trying to disclose when your data is being used by apps and how it's being used. What kind of they said a nutrition logo or a nutrition graphic on the side of food. You'll get that in the App Store, and it'll let you know how it's being used, what they're using, and who they're sharing it with. Also, in Safari, it's going to be able to let you know where your data is being used, what sort of trackers are going on, which will notably set, and you let me know this, that it's kind of screwing Google a little bit.
Absolutely. They're actually blocking Google Analytics, which is a known tracker in almost all websites right now. But to some degree, it is kind of a privacy breach. Users aren't necessarily agreeing to sharing that information, but Google is still collecting it.
So do you think this is this the start of the end of Google? When
Absolutely
companies
not.
as big as Apple start implementing things that will block their tracking and ability to serve ads?
There are other forms of analytics that are available, and I think the sheer volume of users, even if you don't have necessarily the data from Apple devices or Apple users, you can still get powerful information from all the other users on your site. And many people will still continue to use Chrome as their default browser.
But the question is how many people will, or how many companies will start to implement similar features as Apple, right?
That's a great question. I think Apple is positioning themselves as a privacy-first company because they don't need to sell your data to make money. You buy their products, you get that experience. I think a company like Google, for example, is going to have a much harder time getting people to believe that they're privacy-focused when they're the ones making the tools that track all of the data.
Yeah, that does make sense. The other big thing for privacy was whenever your microphone or your camera is used, there's going to be a little dot near your network signal that will light up, so you can be aware of that, kind of like what you get on your webcam on your computer. And yeah, that's kind of helpful, as well as location tracking, which will make it so it's not as exact.
Yeah, you have the option.
Basically.
This is great for weather apps, for example, where they don't need your exact address.
Yeah, the Weather Channel doesn't need to know where I am down to the centimeter.
123 Main Street. All right, we got them.
The weather's going to be so different from 124. Thank you very much, guys. So yeah, that was privacy. Again, like you said, Apple positioning themselves well ahead and separate from people like Facebook, Google, and other companies that profit off your data as a company that really is giving you an experience where your data is well protected.
I think next I had tvOS, but honestly...
tvOS, kind of they focused on the home altogether, which was centered around tvOS. So the big thing they started off with was a smart home. Notably, I was excited to see the fact that they were bringing some updates with cameras and smart lights, so you can change colors of smart lights using HomeKit, which is great because if you have Philips Hue and stuff, you could turn it on and off and do some basic stuff, but yeah, it was really limiting. And so now the fact that you can, quickly change colors and stuff right in HomeKit, that's great.
You can still do that. You can change colors.
Yeah, but it's more, I think it's better integrated basically.
Yeah.
It is.
And my big thing is adaptive lighting.
Yes, yeah. Explain
where
that, please.
the lights will adapt as the day goes on. So you wake up and it's kind of a warmer color temperature. Then midday, the sun is bright, it's shining. So the lights mirror that and they have a cooler, bright temperature. And then in the evening, the sun sets, everything gets warm and relaxed. So your lights follow suit. They have a warmer tone, it's more relaxed, more of a nice warm amber color that helps you ease into the evening.
My
and
lights are
relax.
just purple 24/7. So
Gabe burning, ruining your sleep patterns.
yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I said, cameras though. That is cool because now you can pull up on your TV. Say you have a security camera, Nest Cam, I don't know what else, whatever cameras you have, Ring camera, doorbell. You can pull that right up on your TV or on your phone and take a look, see what's there, see if the delivery man's outside with your package or with your food, which is really great because you can do that right now on Chrome or not Chromecast, sorry, yeah, Chromecast and Fire OS, as well as their little, what are those smart little screens?
The home hubs.
The home hubs, yeah, those things. So Apple bringing that is really great because so many people have Apple devices in some way that now you can integrate better with your smart home, which I think that was another thing they stressed is better integration and things working together more cohesively. We'll have to see if they walk the walk and talk the talk. Like, are they willing to work with these companies or are they just saying that? But yeah, as someone who also has many smart devices, it can be a pain. You know,
it really can. And
sure.
At the top, I liked how they added a new section where you can easily monitor the status of certain elements. So if you leave and you arrive at work, you can check your phone and be like, oh man, I forgot to lock the door. Boom, let me tap that, lock the door, turn the lights off, maybe close the garage door. Like if you did that, you forgot to do everything. But now you just have a quick section right at the top to monitor those things.
Rather than hunting through.
Exactly. And also, as part of the integration with the video feed, Apple is implementing facial recognition. So if you have a friend at the door, the app can recognize that from your photos and say, hey, this person's at the door. And you can also select areas for the camera to focus on and only alert you if someone walks in those areas. For example, if you have a house right in front of a busy street and people walk down the sidewalk, you don't need those kinds of notifications. So you can set it only if someone like walks on your yard or on your path, that you'll get a little.
I wonder how quickly and how many camera companies will be kind of adopting, like will it require them to do a lot of work to like integrate with Apple? Because a lot of camera companies do already have this. For example, like Nest, which is owned by Google, right?
Oh,
they already have the ability to add
twist.
activity zones and notifications and even recognize faces potentially. So will they be adding the features and the code that it could integrate with Apple? Or will they be saying, well, maybe you just get the basic stuff?
It sounded like Apple was actually working well together with the smart home stuff because I think
that's what we hope, yeah.
The smart home future really depends on everyone working together to make that happen. So I'm optimistic.
Yep.
I think those were the big items I had for the smart home stuff and
Yep.
Apple TV.
Well, Apple TV, I think the other big thing was that you're going to get picture-in-picture, like you're going to get with iPadOS and iOS. You're going to get multi-user support for gaming and Xbox compatibility, or Xbox controller compatibility. And then the last big thing was kind of a tease on Apple TV Plus, that they're bringing this show by, I think his name is Isaac Asimov. I know this is a tiny thing, but as someone personally who was into computer programming in college, and loves sci-fi, they are now, the fact that they're bringing this TV show, it's by Isaac Asimov called Foundation. And it looks really cool.
It looks
Basically,
phenomenal.
The little tagline is Foundation chronicles a band of exiles on their monumental journey to save humanity and rebuild civilization amid the fall of the Galactic Empire.
Classic plot.
This guy
line.
is like the OG sci-fi writer from before any sci-fi writer you knew. So yeah, a little tease of Apple TV Plus. Will be interesting to see if they keep giving out free subscriptions to it or if come November they're like, all right, time to pay the piper. Let's see. Let's see if you guys keep subscribed now that you have to actually pay.
It's true. I feel like they were able to grow their user base so quickly because so many people just got the new iPhones and boom, that subscription, Apple TV
Mac
Plus,
or iPad or whatever.
it's just included with that. I'm curious too if that'll continue. If suddenly I'll be paying the $5.99 or $10.99 a month, however much
I think it's $4.99.
$4.99. Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Well, one thing we didn't see that we thought we would see was a bundle of the Apple services. We at least didn't see that announced now. That could come later in the year or in their fall events, but for the time being, no mention of that.
I think next we had macOS.
Yeah, this was really their final thing, was focusing on the Mac, the computer, the thing that started it off. So the big announcement was, drumroll, the title of macOS as drummed up by their crack marketing teams.
I love that.
Yeah.
They made so many jokes about them getting high in their van, and oh my god.
Oh, they were probably somewhere on the California coast because they went with Big Sur.
Boom.
Yeah, I think that's a good name. I mean, they're running out of eventually, Californian landmarks. So what do we think they're going to go with next? Is a thing we're going to take a second to predict. I think it's really hard. They went cats, right?
It was cats, and then
they did Maverick which was a weird one. That's nothing.
And
but then they went to
the
parks and locations in California.
Yeah, that's it.
What do they do next? Do they do aquatic life of some sort? I don't know. It doesn't have the same, like dolphin doesn't have the same ring to it. Do they do names of bacteria? Maybe that could be kind of cool. I don't know. No doubt their crack marketing team will think of it eventually when they run out of parks. California. However, California is one of the biggest states in the U.S. and has tons of parks and cool geolocations and names. So I think they probably could be, quite set for a while.
I think you're right, Gabe. And I mean, let's just talk about this. I'm curious. So with macOS Big Sur, you got a pretty big redesign of all the Apple stock applications. And when I say redesign, I specifically mean the app icons. How do you feel about the new app icons? That's my question.
I honestly didn't look too much at the app icons.
Oh,
I got sidetracked at other stuff that they were.
Well, I guess the other stuff is more exciting. To me, it's like this weird. They went for a very flat look in iPhone and iOS 14, and honestly, basically since iOS 7. And for macOS Big Sur, they copied the square circular app design, but they used 3D shapes in the app icons. So like Messages has a pearly shape, and a message bubble has a deep shadow, and FaceTime has shadows and depth. And it's like this confusing design language to me. I don't know. I don't think I like them, but there are many things I do like about macOS Big Sur. The first one being the super clean redesign. The apps kind of more similarly resemble the iPad apps, which is great. And they have more space. Buttons kind of fade in when you need them and disappear when you don't need them. So it's a visually clean look. And yeah, overall, there's just greater design consistency. There's a new notification center. There's a new control center for getting all your quick settings. Yeah, I mean, this is just a really nice, fresh update for Mac, I feel like.
Well, I think you're going to have to redo your Safari review or your browser showdown, right?
Because I know, Gabe, you're right.
Is getting completely overhauled. They're saying it's going to load 50% faster than Chrome, the pages. And it's going to have that privacy report that we talked about earlier. Extensions are getting a huge update where they're going to be better integrated, but also have more control over the privacy and what data they're getting. Yeah, really a lot of stuff in Safari. Apple Maps, interestingly, they took time to talk about that on the Mac computer because, like, who really ever has used Apple Maps?
I've used it a couple times because it's faster to open the Maps app than it is to open a Chrome window and then type in Apple Maps.
But Google Maps is so much better. I mean, they did say they were working to improve Apple Maps, including adding cycling and EV charging stations routing for when you're setting your directions and stuff. But really, if I'm using it on a computer, I'm usually doing research, trying to look for a location, scouting, and use like Google Photos or Google Maps photos, sorry.
Yeah, those are great.
And their cars that they send around or whatever, Street View, really is far superior to Apple at this point.
It's true. I'm optimistic, though. I do love the changes. I love the cycling directions. It'll tell you elevation changes if you need to carry your bike and things like that. But yeah, the new Safari looks honestly great. I love the new tab design. I love the cleaner look and layout. I love the customizable launch or home launch screen. New, like, what do they call it? They have start page. You have a customizable start page, again, with custom wallpapers. They seem to be into the wallpapers this time around. They get a privacy report, translations. It's just...
And Messages gets a revamp.
Yeah. Nice. What was Messages missing before that it finally has?
So it gets I think the Animojis, right?
Yep. Well, I think it's Memojis.
Whatever they're called. Memoji, sorry.
Animojis
Animojis is...
you have to have
Snapchat?
No,
I forget.
Memojis is the animated blobs that you make with a Face ID compatible phone.
Too many different versions of emojis and stuff. So yeah, you're getting that. You're also getting the fact that Android. I think. Wait, can you actually get SMS on your messages on your computer? This is actually just a question.
Yeah.
Because I, for some reason, don't get my ones from friends who have Androids and stuff.
Oh, no, you totally can. Have you turned on message forwarding?
Maybe that's what I got to do. Okay. Well, moving on. Yeah.
After the podcast, some quick tech help with Gabe. The other big thing, I guess while we're talking about messages, this is for all devices. You can now pin conversations. You now have inline replies for group conversations. You can set group photos. You can have mentions, so you can mention someone directly in a group chat.
Yeah, that's big, I think.
And you can search for trending GIFs and images instantly in the Messages app. It's a pretty solid update. The biggest thing for me, improved search. Message search has been notoriously bad. Hopefully it works now. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see.
Okay, but now the big thing for Mac, right? No, we're not doing another drum roll. The big thing was the hardware, not the software actually for Mac, because they're now switching, as we said, to Apple-developed silicone, Apple chips. They did this on iPhone. They did this on iPad. Now's the time for it to happen on Mac. And yeah, what does this even mean?
Great question. So what is happening right now is Apple is switching to its own ARM processor. Now, you might be thinking, all right, what is an ARM processor?
Yeah, I was thinking that.
So ARM is a type of processor architecture. It's based on what's called RISC, or Reduced Instruction Set Computer. And this is an architecture developed by advanced RISC machines, which is where you get that ARM abbreviation. What this instruction set is it reduces the instructions required for the processor. This, in turn, reduces the number of transistors you need. It improves the speed and performance of the chips. It reduces the power consumption. It reduces complexity. And overall, it provides a faster, more optimized, and better experience for the users. These ARM processors have been used in mobile devices for a long time, in iPhones, in iPads, and it's the same architecture used in many Android phones. And in Apple's case, this is the first time they are developing their own ARM processor for Mac. And what makes this huge is the possibility of Apple improving the speed, performance, and battery life for their laptops, their MacBooks, and then just improving the power and performance of their desktop computers. I'm super excited. I mean, what was your reaction when you saw this? My mind was blown. I was so excited.
Well, the big thing for me is I think what it's going to enable. So besides just it being easier for developers to develop for it and better performance, you're also going to be able to run iPad and iPhone apps natively right on your device, right? That's incredible. Granted, how many people are actually going to do that, right? It's not fit for the right format of screen and stuff, but
I think this opens up an interesting can of worms where Apple may actually be the biggest competitor to Nintendo's Switch right now, where suddenly all the Apple Arcade games will be able to run natively on a Mac and on Apple TV.
But will they be optimized as far as control scheme? So that's the...
Probably
That's
not.
The thing.
But I think it's like this cool cross-platform idea where you get your favorite apps right at your fingertips, whatever device you're using.
It could be cool. Notably, they are being smart and really putting an emphasis on how they're, helping developers get their apps to the macOS new silicone setup, right? So they are releasing an app called, I think, Rosetta 2, right?
Yep, Rosetta 2.
Yeah, Rosetta 2 that will basically, I think it's just helping them kind of convert apps into the new, whatever the new language is, essentially, that's running.
Yeah, so it's on the app installation. If the app isn't natively supported, that's when Rosetta 2 will be run, and it will just convert it during the installation process. When you go to launch it, everything will just work.
Yeah. And this is all part, I think, of the initiative. No, that's Project Catalyst was last year. What's the new initiative that they're calling it? I forget what it is, but there's a bunch of different ways that they're basically trying to help make this rollout as smooth as possible. These new Macs won't start coming out until later this year. I think they said the first ones are going to drop, though they did release kind of like a Mac Mini version that has it now for developers. But yeah, you won't be able to expect this probably until the fall or even next year, where you'll see it in the new iMacs, which unfortunately we didn't see, and the new MacBook Pros or MacBooks.
What I thought was interesting is Apple said that there would be a new Mac device. Like
that wasn't using these new processors. Yeah, I was like, whoa, hold on a second.
Why would you do that? And then there will be...
What do you think that's going to be? Do you think that's going to be a new iMac and then...
I do think it's a new iMac because, I mean, as we discussed, the ARM processors are basically optimized for mobile. So I think it would make sense for them to transition fully into mobile and then the desktop, like, sneak out another desktop before they can really ramp up the power for desktop computers.
Yeah, that does make sense, I guess. It was interesting seeing them talk about some of the apps that are more, creator heavy or processing heavy, like Adobe apps or even Final Cut Pro X, and how they're really working to get running natively on these new chips. I was looking at the update. Hold on, the big update for me for Final Cut Pro X, as someone who edits a lot of videos for mobile and vertical videos, for Instagram TV or Snapchat or TikTok. The big thing is now that it can intelligently sense where it should crop. So if you have a horizontal video, for example, of someone walking down the street or of your cat or something, it can now be like, all right, this is where I need to crop to stay, and it can follow exactly where it needs to follow the person or whatever the subject is and the activity on your video, which is, I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see how good it is, granted, but if that could, speed up the process of, editing a horizontal video to vertical, that would be huge.
Do you think we'll see these creative apps come to iPad? Because my understanding is Apple is using the A12Z chip for their demo computers.
You mean would we see Final Cut Pro?
Yeah. Do you think it'll come to iPad?
Potentially, but the thing that is big is the control thing. I guess iPad does now have a trackpad.
Has a trackpad and keyboard.
So
and it's got the
a
files
lot more
app.
possible. So maybe, but I don't know. I'd wait and see on that.
The Final Cut libraries get huge in size with all the rendering that happens. So I don't think it wouldn't be a good experience even if it did happen.
I think they'll stick with iMovie for now. But yeah, I think we'd most likely, do you think it'd be the same app they'd roll out if they went Final Cut to
Yeah,
iPad?
There might be some limitations.
Or do you think it'd be a different iPad app?
I think it'd be pretty similar, to be honest.
Well, that'll be interesting to see. They did also show Adobe products running that looked like incredibly smooth, given how many layers and effects they had on. But yeah, the interesting thing is the fact that they introduced compatibility with running virtual machines of Linux.
Apple has actually, I think, been known for having Linux compatibility in that sense.
Well, I have a friend who's very into Linux, and he has always told me, you can dual boot a Mac with Linux or something like that if you want to play around with it. But this is important because now you're actually able to run, without breaking any warranties or, hacking in, essentially. You're allowed to, with Apple built-in support, to work on from a server, basically, because that's what the problem that people run into is servers are almost always running, and the cloud basically runs on Linux. So Apple, recognizing that, said, hey, we're going to build in the compatibility and the ability to, work through our software on the computer and work with this. Which, big ups to them actually finally getting on board with this.
It's true. I think it was a big announcement. I think developers everywhere were thrilled. And another interesting note I would have is that when you're looking at the Big Sur screenshots, the interface, and things like that, it looks like everything has been spaced out more, almost as if it was designed for touch. So,
I wonder. Would you want touch screen Macs?
Oh yeah. 100%. There were some times. So after I got my iPad Pro, there were many embarrassing times
when you go to touch
I went to touch my Mac after I went back, and it's just like this. I didn't think it was before, but now that I'm experienced, it's so natural. It should be absolutely.
I guess I can kind of see it, but I don't know. Then it just means more fingerprints on the screen and stuff.
That's what I thought, but I was like, it's so worth it. Whatever.
Okay. I'll take your word for it, and maybe we will see, because, it is definitely more spaced out. But, I mean, was that pretty much it for this event? I think so.
That is what I had. Those are the things I noticed. I think that was, that's everything. So,
there was, surprisingly, we did think we were going to get a new iMac or some new hardware Didn't see that surface, so that's a little bit of a disappointment, I guess. But overall, what would you rate this event?
I would rate this almost 10 out of 10. I honestly think Apple listened.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I thought the presentation, the execution of the video, it was engaging. It was well thought out. I felt like they were listening to their customers. Even if it was years later, they were delivering the features everyone wanted. I thought it was great. I think Apple's going to have a really strong lineup this fall with their new devices and their new software launching for a
I'd give it
host.
9 out of 10, I think. I don't think it was perfect because they didn't quite have the
They didn't announce a
hardware
drone
or the drone. That's every event gets a 9 out of 10. That's a max for me unless they announce a drone. No, I thought presentation wise, yeah, everything you mentioned, this is a 10 out of 10. The only thing was maybe the rumors. It's their fault for the rumors for getting ahead, but it set me up my expectations a little higher for what we were going to see.
You wanted to see hardware.
I wanted to see a little hardware. I know this is predominantly software event, hence WWDC.
Well, we did see hardware, Gabe. We saw their developer
kit
for transitioning to the ARM.
Or I would have liked to see the cloud subscription thing. Would've been nice.
All right, sure.
Right. There's a couple of things.
I'm most impressed about is this software is supported on devices that launched in 2015. It goes all the way back to the iPhone 6S and 6S Plus, even back to the first generation iPhone SE and the iPod Touch 7th generation.
Wow.
That is impressive.
Props
really
to Apple,
impressive.
I guess, for doing that. Granted, some of the features won't be available, right?
We don't know for sure. I think
in the past, that's kind of what they've done is they've disabled, maybe it's the.
Well, for some of them, you do need hardware like Face ID for the.
Well, no, but
emoji.
like the how you can change frame rate in the camera app.
Oh yeah, that's not a software
or your
thing.
resolution. Yeah,
that's
right. Not at all. That's a hardware thing. Yeah,
Jeez.
Sure.
But
right.
I think either way, that's going to be it. That was Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference. You can follow us at Pinch to Zoom Pod on Twitter, at Pinch to Zoom Podcast on Instagram, and be sure to leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts. We greatly appreciate it. Help support the show. And that's going to be it. I'm Stetson.
I'm Big Sur Gabe.
And we look forward to talking to you in the next regularly scheduled episode. Will you be running the iOS 14 beta? That's my question. Wow, That was instant. You don't even think about it.
Okay, I'd be more likely to run the iOS 14 beta, but even that, I use my phone. Maybe I'd be more likely to run the iPadOS beta on my iPad.
Wait, you don't have a second phone?
Oh. This is sorry, Stetson. You're in a so different world. Everyone does not have more than one phone.